On's day, my son prepared a gift, but my husband left our son, who suffered from sun allergy, exposed to direct sun for 6 hours. My son's body was ravaged, and I knelt begging Marcus to see our son one last time. Yet he stripped me naked and locked me in the sunroom to reflect. Then turned and flew with Amber to Iceland to escape the heat. Hot, incredibly hot. The thermometer on the wall was nearing 135°F. My throat was so dry it felt like it was on fire. I frantically hammered on the glass, my throat producing a wheezing sound, like a broken bellows. "Let me out, please. I beg you. My son is still at the hospital." It wasn't until my palms were red and swollen from the heat that Amber finally appeared at a leisurely pace. She had an ice pop in her mouth, looking utterly impatient. "What are you yelling for? You're as annoying as that bastard son of yours." I clung to her like a drowning person to a straw, prostrating myself on the ground, bowing my head repeatedly. "I beg you. Let me see my son one last time. I know I was wrong. I'll give Marcus to you." Amber sneered, lifted her foot, and kicked away the half-eaten ice pop that had fallen to the ground. "Do you think I need you to give him to me? Marcus's heart has always been mine." The moment she finished speaking, Marcus's voice echoed from downstairs, asking where his socks were. Amber clapped her hands together, her face filled with triumph and mockery. "I don't know what kind of wife you are. It takes me to pick up a man's socks." With that, she ignored my pleas and gracefully descended the stairs. It had been 3 hours since they locked me in the sunroom. The air was like molten iron. Every breath seared my windpipe, but who suffered from sun allergy had endured for a full 6 hours. I slumped down by the door, unable to bear thinking if he was still alive. He lay in the hospital bed, his body riddled with tubes, his skin cracked and peeled from the scorching sun, revealing tender red flesh beneath. I didn't even know where to touch him to hold him. The doctor told me his organs were already failing when the neighbors brought him in. Yet he clung to his last breath, waiting for his mother to come and remove the tubes. When I rushed to the hospital, it was as if he sensed something. A single, clear tear slowly trickled from the corner of his sunken eye. I suddenly pulled myself together. Leo was still waiting for me. I couldn't give up. Amber leftover ice pop had melted. I could only kneel on the ground, trying to push my tongue through the gap in the door, licking it little by little. "Ha ha ha ha. Grace, you look like an animal." Amber appeared, arm in arm with Marcus, openly mocking me. Marcus's brow furrowed tightly, and his first words were accusatory. "You really are a drama queen. We trained for 12 hours in the desert and weren't as delicate as you. Believe me, our son's sun allergy is critical. Please let me out to see him one last time." Still lying. "Leo is perfectly fine at his boarding school. If anything were wrong, the doctors and teachers would definitely call me." Yes, why hadn't the hospital notified Marcus? I suddenly looked up at Amber. A hint of guilt clearly flickered in her eyes. She mumbled, pulling at Marcus's sleeve. "Marcus, why don't you go check on him at school? After all, your son and wife are more important. We, an orphaned mother and daughter, should have just followed Robert long ago." Marcus's anger instantly subsided. He gently comforted her. "I promised Robert I would take good care of you and Lily. Anyone who dares to wrong you will pay the price." Then he turned to look at me, and the tenderness in his eyes instantly froze. "Since you love to lie, why don't you experience for yourself if the sun can actually kill someone?" He locked the last half-open window and self-righteously instructed me. "Tomorrow we're going to Iceland to escape the heat. Remember to clean the house thoroughly. Lily has asthma and can't be around dust." Marcus had been in the military for many years. I had raised Leo alone. He never believed in sun allergy. Boys shouldn't be too delicate. "When I get back, I'll put him through special training." But when he retired, he returned with his brother's widow and daughter, and he paid very little attention to his own son. Tears trickled onto my cracked lips, soaking into the wounds, making them sting. I collapsed to the ground, laughing hysterically. "You don't believe your own son has a sun allergy, yet you care for someone else's child. You don't deserve to be his father. Let me out, or my son will haunt you even as a ghost." Perhaps my wretched and desperate appearance was simply too convincing. Marcus frowned, about to speak, but was interrupted by Amber. "Don't worry. There's a key hidden in the sunroom. We'll call Grace tomorrow once we reach Iceland and tell her. She'll be fine." Marcus glanced back at me then, reassured. He put his arm around Amber and left. But the clothes with my cell phone in them had long been stripped off me and thrown into the trash. I searched frantically in the sunroom all night long. Like a madwoman, my fingernails split and tore in the floor cracks, Both my hands were a bloody mess. There was no key at all. Downstairs, Lily's silvery laughter rang out. "Uncle, are you ready? We're going to Iceland." Amber lovingly corrected her. "From now on, just call him Dad. Uncle sounds too formal. But isn't he Leo's dad? But he loves Lily the most." The moment the engine roared to life, my eardrums felt as if they were pierced by a sharp object. My mind was filled with a buzzing sound. I don't know how long I was unconscious. The sun had already set. I stumbled to my feet, using my last ounce of strength to lift a chair and smash it against the glass. Once, twice, thrice. The sturdy glass remained intact, but the commotion finally alerted the new neighbors. When I was lifted onto the stretcher, the neighbor, clutching her chest, was still indignant. I thought she was the lady of the house, and I wondered why she was so cruel to her own son. Turns out, she's the mistress. It turned out that after Marcus sent me to work in the next city, Leo had been living a life worse than death, yet every time he called, he would say with a smile, "Mommy, I'm doing great, don't worry, be a happy mommy." Okay. My heart felt like it was slowly being tightened by a rusty wire. "Ma'am, relax. Relax. Don't bite your tongue." When I woke up again, it was already the third day. I suddenly sprang up from the hospital bed and rushed barefoot towards Leo's room. "Leo, wait for mommy." The moment I pushed open the door, the bed was empty. I grabbed a nurse, nearly collapsing. "Where's the child from this bed? Was he sent for tests? Which floor?" "Say something." She looked at me with sympathy, hesitating to speak. "Madam, let me treat your wounds first, okay?" Only then did I realize my hands were covered in blood. The 4-needle had been pulled out and snagged in a vein, and large drops of blood were trickling down the tube, but I felt no pain at all. I just kept asking, "Where's my son?" "The patient in bed number 3 passed away yesterday." The nurse paused, then comforted me. "Don't be too sad. Pull yourself together quickly and go to the funeral home with the child's father to say your final goodbyes." My cell phone rang just then. Amber had apparently unsent something. I tapped on her profile picture. Her social media post had just been updated, bidding farewell to the long night in the land of eternal day. "Thank you for your light, which guided me from hell to new life." The accompanying picture showed the backs of a family of 3 against the magnificent backdrop of the polar day. Meanwhile, I stood dazed before the electronic screen at the funeral home. The screen scrolled with a chilling list of pending tasks. Leo cremation, no. 3 Amber had found new life, but my son had no tomorrow. Half a month later, Marcus finally returned to the country. He casually tossed 2 gift boxes onto the coffee table. "These are gifts for you and Leo. Yours is a set of high-end skincare products. Look at your rough face, covered in red scabs. Can't you take care of yourself like Amber?" "Leo's are famous local mango cookies." I waited in line for 2 hours to get them. His chin was slightly raised, an air of condescension about him. My already numb heart twinged again. "Leo is allergic to mangoes. Didn't you know that? Are you ever going to stop? Always finding excuses to get attention. I've already bought you gifts. What more do you want?" I said nothing. I turned and handed him 2 documents. "I also have 2 gifts for you. Leo's autopsy report and organ donation certificate." Marcus swept them away, his eyebrows furrowed in impatience. "I just took them out to play." "Didn't I? Do you really have to act as if your own son is dead just to make a point?" I gave a bitter laugh. How I wish this was just a trick to gain his favor, and that my Leo was still alive and well. "Leo's ashes are right there on the table. If you don't believe me, open it and see for yourself." Marcus's gaze darkened until Amber heels clicked at the doorway. "Grace, I must say, your act is quite elaborate. You even prepared props. You didn't steal chalk dust from the preschool, did you?" She blinked her innocent eyes, but her words were utterly venomous. "Lily got quite a scare in Iceland. Therapeutic, and I think this would be a perfect substitute." I stepped forward and slapped her. "Watch your mouth." Amber, disbelief etched on her face, clutched her cheek, stumbling into Marcus's arms. "Anyone can bully us, an orphaned mother and daughter, if we're still here." Her words were like a knife, precisely cutting into Marcus's raw nerve. A violent rage flared in his eyes. The next second, he violently pushed me away. My lower back slammed hard against the sharp corner of the table. The jars and bottles on the table crashed down. I practically lunged forward, but couldn't gather the shattered pieces of white porcelain. "I'm sorry, Leo. Mommy was so useless." Amber, her eyes red with feigned grievance, asked, "Did you deliberately make this room dusty to trigger Lily's asthma?" She hastily picked up the vacuum cleaner. I panicked instantly. My hands tightly clutched the pile. Don't vacuum, don't. Amber, however, deliberately pushed the vacuum cleaner into my hands. The still healing wounds quickly tore open and began to bleed. Grace, there's no need to involve children in our adult affairs. Please, let Lily go. I'll do anything. Marcus's eyes immediately reddened with distress. He quickly embraced her, gently comforting her. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I'll make her lick it clean if I have to. You take Lily upstairs to bathe first. I'll come up later to tell her a bedtime story. Listening to his meticulous arrangements, I suddenly burst out laughing. Marcus, do you still remember how Leo got his name? Marcus stiffened slightly. He clearly remembered. I only realized I had a little life inside me when I was 3 months pregnant. By then, Marcus had already returned to the army. The call announcing the good news stunned him for several minutes when he came to his senses. His voice was trembling. I have a child. I'm going to be a father. Grace, you're going to be a mother. He meticulously remembered every one of my prenatal checkup dates. He knew the nutrition chart better than military regulations. Even though the worn-out pregnancy became the laughingstock of the entire company, not to mention his non-stop training just to accumulate a few more days of leave to be with me during childbirth. Back then, holding newborn Leo, he smiled in the morning light. I've decided. We'll name him Leo. Leo is the dawn for Grace and me. You little rascal. You better be good and don't bully my wife. But later, he personally snuffed out that dawn in the darkness. Tomorrow is Leo's birthday. Will you come? Marcus's expression softened slightly. He finally remembered his neglect of his son these past days. Tomorrow after school, I'll take Leo to play soccer. Playing soccer was Leo's favorite sport. He had begged his father more than once to play with him, but always had one excuse or another, and had never once taken him to play. But there would be no more chances. I tried hard to hold back my tears. I looked up at him. Okay, tomorrow at p.m. Come find him at Evergreen Park. A flicker of hesitation crossed Marcus's eyes. Tomorrow afternoon is Lily's school sports day. I can't let her be mocked by others for not having a dad, so I might not make it by 3. I gave a self-deprecating laugh, very understandingly. Then 5 o'clock, perhaps my unusual calm made Marcus look at me with rare curiosity. Grace, let's go to the sports field together tomorrow. Just the 3 of us, okay? After went upstairs. I knelt on the ground, picking up Leo, one particle at a time. If there's a next life, I hope he never meets us. Then I went to Leo's room, staring blankly at the empty furnishings. To better care for Amber and Lily. Marcus had not hesitated to send his own son to boarding school, so there were very few of his belongings. I chose Leo's most cherished soccer model and tittied his bed, as if he were still there. After doing all this, I took out the business card from my pocket and called Julian. Tomorrow at p.m. You're welcome to attend my son's birthday party. Marcus, who was at the sports day, was puzzled. Why did everyone look at him with such pity? At first, he thought it was because Lily had lost her father at a young age, and the teachers and students pitied her. So he immersed himself even more vigorously in the parent-child games, determined to help her win a championship, until his teacher approached him, patting his shoulder to comfort him. My condolences. You must be even more devastated than us by Leo's passing. But displacing your grief onto other children won't solve anything. Marcus felt as if he'd been struck by lightning. For a moment, he thought he was hallucinating. What passing? Who passed away? Where is Leo? Leo's father, don't you know? The teacher's mouth was still moving, but Marcus seemed to have entered another world. He couldn't believe his own living son was gone. Marcus violently grabbed the teacher's shoulder, his nails almost digging into her flesh. You're lying to me. Did hire you to put on this act? Isn't Leo perfectly fine at his boarding school? The teacher probably thought Marcus had lost his mind from grief. She gently shook her head and led him to Leo's dorm room. These are Leo's belongings. Leo's mother hasn't come to collect them yet. Marcus instinctively opened the box. The worn-out soccer shoes unexpectedly caught his eye. The soles had completely come off, and there were traces of glue where they had been repaired. That day, Leo had cautiously pulled on his sleeve and asked, Dad, when you take Lily shopping this afternoon, could you buy me a new pair of soccer shoes? He remembered not even turning his head at the time, only coldly throwing back a remark, Boys, don't pick up those vain habits. But that day, he had bought Lily 10 pairs of shoes in one go. Pink ones, sparkly ones, ones with rhinestones. Marcus's breath suddenly caught. So, Leo wasn't vain. His shoes really couldn't be worn anymore. He snatched up the torn sneakers and ran. This must be a joke Grace is playing. It's Leo's birthday today, and he's waiting to play soccer with him. He had indeed neglected Leo and Grace these past days. He'd used his birthday party as an opportunity to make it up to them. When arrived, disheveled, at Evergreen Park, Leo's innocent smiling face was being displayed on the large screen. "This is my Father's Day gift for Dad. It's an honor medal." On the camouflage-decorated cardboard, the word superhero pricked Marcus's heart like needles, because my dad used to protect the country, but he still came back for Mom and me. Leo's smile slowly froze, his face filled with disappointment. Even though Dad loves Lily more now and is always strict with me, I know he's doing it for my own good. When I grow up, I want to be brave like Dad. Teacher, do you think Dad will like my gift? In the video, Leo was bending his head, completely absorbed in his crafting. He didn't even cry out when glue stuck to his finger and tore the skin. Marcus stood frozen in place. It took him a long time to react. He gripped my shoulders tightly, as if grasping at his last straw of hope. "Grace, where's Leo?" "Leo's okay, right? Look, these are the new soccer shoes he wanted." I fiercely pushed his hand away. The shoebox hit the ground with a thud. "No need, he won't grow up anymore." The light in Marcus's eyes suddenly extinguished. He staggered back a few steps. I took a step closer, looking at his face, drained of all color. "Do you know what our son's last words were? He asked me if Dad was still mad at him. If he wasn't mad, why didn't he come to see him? He was in so much pain." On the screen, photos of Leo lying in the hospital flashed by, one after another. Under the stark white lights, his tiny body was riddled with tubes, like a young bird knocked from its nest by a heavy storm. The doctor said there wasn't a single patch of good skin left on his body, that he was tortured to death by the pain, but he waited for you until the very end. "Enough! Don't say any more, Grace. Please stop." Marcus suddenly bent over and vomited, as if trying to expel his internal organs. Just then, Amber also arrived. "Oh, Leo's birthday party is quite grand. It's even turned into a theatrical display. Unlike our Lily, who doesn't have a dad." Her words were cut short in her throat. A fierce rage surged in Marcus's eyes. He lifted her completely off the ground. "Didn't you say sun allergy was fake? That a little sun exposure would make him uncomfortable for a bit, and then he'd get desensitized? How could Leo die?" Amber flailed her arms wildly, and wasn't put down until her eyes rolled back into her head. "Leo is dead. Marcus, believe me, I'm a nurse. I would never harm Leo." Seeing the rage in Marcus's eyes falter slightly, Amber crawled on her knees and grabbed his pant leg. "Leo's death might not be because of the sun allergy. School matters usually go through Grace. Who knows if they conspired to do something shady?" Marcus suddenly lifted his leg, and she fell into a pile of wreaths like a rag doll. "Do you think I'd believe that Grace would intentionally kill her own son?" Just as he moved closer, Lily timidly pulled on his jacket sleeve. "Uncle, stop hitting her. Mommy will get hurt. And she has a baby in her belly." Marcus's pupils suddenly constricted. "You said." "What?" Amber got up, clutching her belly, and smugly glanced at me. "Marcus, don't be sad. We're going to have a son soon." I watched Marcus stand there, stunned. My heart was filled with desolation. "What? You're getting a new son? So you've forgotten how your old son tragically died?" "Grace, I didn't." I waved my hand, cutting him off. I lightly tapped my finger, and a surveillance video appeared on the screen. "Dr. Miller, a friend of mine has a son with sun allergy. If he accidentally gets exposed to the sun, will he be very uncomfortable? Of course, patients with sun allergy must avoid direct sun exposure. Or in severe cases, it could lead to organ failure. How long would prolonged sun exposure be life-threatening? Depends on the individual. For a child, 2 hours would be fatal." The video abruptly stopped, freezing on the strange curve of Amber lips as she turned away. Marcus's entire body trembled, looking at her in disbelief. "The video is maliciously edited, Marcus. Believe me." Marcus didn't give her another chance to explain. He punched her face repeatedly until her teeth were knocked out and blood gushed out. "You poisonous woman, give me back my son." I quietly lit a candle, looking at my innocent son in the photo, and bowed deeply. "Leo, rest assured, Mommy will avenge you." The sound of police sirens brought Marcus back to his senses, indirectly saving Amber's life. When she was lifted onto the stretcher, she still leaned close to me, her face bruised and swollen, and whispered triumphantly, "Marcus is just angry for now. I'm carrying his child, and he'll come around soon." I smiled faintly. "Where do you get the nerve to try to win a man back with a child?" "Just so you know, I called the police. The evidence is conclusive. You might want to look up how long you'll get for intentional homicide." Watching the confusion in her eyes slowly turn into terror, I left satisfied. Marcus didn't go to the hospital with her. Instead, like a defeated rooster, he knelt heavily before me. "Grace, I'm sorry. I didn't know the sun allergy was so serious. I mistakenly trusted that bitch Amber." I gently wiped Leo's photo. "The one you should apologize to is Leo. I'm sorry. Leo, Mommy was wrong too. That year, I went camping in the mountains. I was trapped in the camp by a heavy rain for 2 days and 2 nights. When despair set in, it was Marcus who braved the dangers of a mudslide to rescue me." He blushed slightly. "Protecting the country is my duty, moreover, for you. I would even give my life." I admired and respected his ideals. That's why, no matter how difficult things were over the years, I accepted it gladly. Even when he spent all his allowance on Amber and Lily, I had no complaints. I even went to the next city to work 3 jobs a day, just to help him shoulder the burden. But I never expected that Amber would move into my home, using the excuse that she and Lily, as an orphan mother and daughter, were frequently harassed. Slowly, this friendship began to sour. Marcus seemed to have started acting as Robert, treating Amber as his wife, and I became the outsiders who disrupted their harmony. After was buried, I went to the cemetery every day to be with him. "Son, the trial starts in a few days. None of the culprits who caused your death will escape. Are you doing well there? Do you miss Mommy? You know, your cornea has given a little girl back her sight. You truly are a brave little one." Marcus also came. In just 1 month, he seemed to have aged a decade. His once meticulously neat buzz cut was now streaked with gray and stood up messily. He placed toys in front of Leo's grave, then turned and handed me a box of sandwiches. "You come here before dawn every day. Your body won't hold up if you don't eat breakfast." I swatted it away, speaking coldly. "Who are you putting on this late display of affection for? Don't dirty my son's new home." Marcus's eyes showed a flash of pain. He suddenly knelt before me. "Grace, I was wrong. I just beg you, for our son's sake, give me another chance. Let's have another child, then Leo can come back." I almost laughed out of sheer anger. I never expected him to make such a shameless request. "Marcus, being born as the son of someone like you is a cursed life. You ruined Leo's entire life, and now you want to ruin his next one too?" A look of obsession and madness gleamed in Marcus's eyes. He clung tightly to my leg, just as I struggled with all my might to shake him off. A low, cold voice rang out, "Mr. Marcus, if you don't let go, tomorrow you won't be appearing in court as a victim's family member." William's figure had arrived unnoticed. Leaning casually against a Maybach, idly twirling car keys, he gently beckoned, and Isabel quickly ran over to help me up. "Aunt, are you okay? Dad and I came to see little Leo." Looking at her eyes, which were almost identical to Leo's, my heart suddenly ached. After his death, I selflessly donated his organs. His corneas were transplanted to Isabel. Her father, William, was the head of a top law firm in the country. After finding out I was the donor's family member, he promised to do anything for me, no matter the cost. Amber's surveillance video came from him. William walked over and gently knelt in front of me. Looking at the red mark from the scratch, his expression suddenly darkened. "Mr. Marcus, I found something else interesting. Care to take a look?" He threw a stack of documents at Marcus. Marcus's gaze was fixed on the conclusion section of the last page. "Forensic analysis supports Jason as the biological father of the sample provider. Lily," his nails dug into the edge of the report. "Who is Jason?" "Amber college classmate. And also the thug who pretended to harass her back then." Marcus's face instantly turned ashen, his voice terribly hoarse. "So all these years, I've been helping a woman who had cuckolded my brother raise a child." He suddenly vomited a mouthful of blood and collapsed to the ground. I was about to take Isabel's hand and leave when I suddenly heard a familiar voice. "Marcus." "What's wrong, Marcus?" Amber's abdomen was slightly distended, kicking up dust as she ran over. "Marcus, I was released on bail because I'm pregnant. What good is surveillance footage anyway? No one can prove I murdered him." "Don't be sad, touch my belly. Our baby is moving, see? He's kicking me." Marcus's eyes were bloodshot. glaring at her intently. "You bitch, what right do you have to bear my son?" The next second, his fist brutally slammed into her abdomen. Amber doubled over in pain, but he grabbed her by the hair and yanked her up, forcibly smashing her against the cold tombstone. Again and again, blood trickled down, winding around Leo's name. At first, she forced a cold laugh. "Are you crazy? I'm carrying your son." Until she saw Marcus pick up a nearby stone, his eyes filled with genuine murderous intent. Only then did Amber panic. "Marcus, why? I really didn't harm Leo." Grace deliberately edited the surveillance video. "And is this fake too?" A stack of papers slammed down, hitting her face. Amber peripheral vision caught the bolded conclusion on the papers. A white light flashed in her mind. Finally realizing Marcus knew the truth, she screamed, shrinking back. "That's ancient history. I only deceived Robert. I didn't deceive you, Marcus. I truly love you." No. All of this is Grace's doing. She's just jealous of me. The bitch deserves to lose her husband and child. Marcus slapped her viciously across the face, but the hatred in his eyes still screamed. He lifted the stone high. "You venomous woman. Today I will avenge my son." William's palm promptly covered Isabel's eyes. His slightly leaning posture silently asked, "Let it happen or intervene." My voice was calmer than I expected. "Stop." Marcus froze abruptly. The moss on the stone brushed against his wildly ecstatic lips. "Grace, you still care about me, don't you? You don't want me to go down the wrong path." I didn't even glance at him. A practice call to 911 cut short his delusion. 911. There's an attempted murder in the north section of the cemetery. Marcus still wanted to cling, but William blocked him with a quick move. A faint, almost imperceptible smile played on his lips. His voice was so soft, as if he feared disturbing the cemetery's peace. "Don't flatter yourself. She just doesn't want you to taint Leo's memory, Mr. Marcus. Don't rush, your retribution is still to come." Amber ultimately couldn't save the baby. Marcus stood in the witness box, detailing her actions against Leo and providing evidence found in a blind spot at the preschool, that bottle of sunscreen spray deliberately replaced by Amber, and the deleted hospital call records from the day Leo was hospitalized. On the spray, "Mommy's lifesaver" was scrawled crookedly in colored marker. Unlike my calm numbness, Marcus sobbed hysterically in court and at one point vomited blood. Amber was sentenced to life imprisonment for intentional homicide. She would spend the rest of her life in prison. William stood beside me, tapping his fingers on an envelope. "Are you really going to let him go? Though it would be troublesome. There's no case William can't win." I gently shook my head. "He has late-stage liver cancer. At most 3 months. You should be more familiar with the medical parole procedures than I am." William suddenly smiled. "I see. Death is a release. Living is hell." Outside the window, a group of children ran past, laughing after school. The faint sound of a children's rhyme drifted in. My fingertips slowly caressed Leo's favorite soccer model. A gentle curve appeared at the corner of my lips. I want him to wake up every day and see Leo's little slippers still by the door. I want him to glance down while cooking in the kitchen and see the crooked sunflower our son drew on the tile. I want him, when he's tormented by illness, to hear the laughter of other children drifting in from outside the window. William's eyes flickered slightly, faintly showing a hint of pain. Isabel, however, was like a nimble little deer. She dove into my arms. "Aunt, you smell like Dad." Like how he smells after standing at Mom's grave for too long on a rainy day. Isabel doesn't want Dad to be sad, and I'm sure little Leo wouldn't want Aunt to be sad either. I gently ruffled her soft hair. "Auntie isn't sad. I just don't know how to live anymore. The day I decided to leave the country, William tried to make me stay." The light in his eyes flickered, and his voice was softer than usual. "Are you really leaving, Grace? If we—" I cut him off before he could finish. Two people covered in blood, no matter how close they got, would only infect each other's wounds. Instead of destroying each other, it's better to go our separate ways. As I was about to board, an unknown number called. "Ms. Grace, this is the oncology department at City Hospital. Mr. Marcus's condition is not optimistic." I stood at the security gate, surrounded by a surging crowd, but it was as if all sound had been instantly drained away. The nurse's voice softened originally. "He had at least 3 months to live, but his will to live is weak, and he's refusing all medication. He said his last wish is to see you." I heard my own voice, almost coldly calm, reply, "I'm sorry. I'm not available, the nurse asked cautiously. Then, is there anything you'd like me to convey? The boarding announcement suddenly sounded, drowning out any possible reply. I hung up the phone and dragged my suitcase towards the jet bridge. Where there is sunshine in the heart, there is no eternal night for love. This was the last page of Leo's favorite fairy tale book. Leo would forever live in my every breath, living as the strongest armor on my body.